I've got here this 2014 Mercedes E350 and we're going to show you how to add wireless CarPlay to it. The first part of the process is removing this big trim around here. In order to do that, you have to open your glove box. You'll see some pull tabs underneath. You have to use a pick tool and you can get under there and kind of pry it out. There's one there. Behind the AC ducts on either one in the center, you'll see this kind of tabs. There's one on the left, and if you go onto the other side, there's another one. It's kind of hard to see it on the camera. You have to pry these tabs open before this whole panel can come out. So you have to be very careful when you're removing a long panel like this. You can't start prying on just one side. You have to start prying on both sides in order to not snap in between. If you just start prying on one side, there's a lot of pressure. It's a long panel. It's very thin, very flimsy. It's going to snap in between. It's going to have cracks. Avoid that. Start prying underneath, on the side. Take your time with it. Remove all the clips. Once all the clips is out, there's two connections behind here, or actually three in this case. Remove those connections and then this panel will sit on the side, allowing us to have access to a screws for the factory radio. Now in order to remove this radio out, you'll see there's one Torx 20 here, another one there. You have to undo them, but you can't take them out, otherwise the big metal bracket holding the radio. You have to undo these two screws, but you can't actually take them out all the way. There's a big metal bracket behind it holding these screws. You have to make sure it doesn't come out more than it needs to, otherwise the metal bracket will fall into the oblivion and it takes forever to feed them back in there. As you can see, I've just undone the screw halfway. I've not got it all the way out. If I take it all the way out, the whole metal bracket holding it is going to fall down. Even if it's done only halfway undone, you can get the radio behind here out. It's going to slide out. Make sure you have some microfiber available next to you so you can put it on the edges in order not to scratch anything. There's one connector here on the right side of the radio controlling all of these buttons. You have to undo it. It's a pull tab. Once that is out, the remainder of the radio will come out.
Now start with a small pick tool like this is very beneficial when you're removing the plugs behind the radio. It also helps with removing all of them without damaging any one of them.
Once you have your factory radio out, the only wires that should be concerned is this gray LVDS cable. This is your display signal cable which we are going to be intercepting onto. The second one is your cord lock. That's the big chunky cord lock. You have to take a note of the position for your fiber optics. In this case, it's going in position 1. You have to remove it from here and transplant into the new aftermarket harness into the same position. If you do this the other way around, you're not going to have any sound or any video coming through your screen. Now the next panel in the disassembly process is to remove this undercover here. In order to remove the glove box, you have to get it out for you to be able to feed your USB into the glove box as well as mount your module right here in the carpet on the passenger side.
Start by undoing the 3 Torx 20 underneath the glove box.
Once you have those 3 screws removed, this panel has one connection here for the light that you have to undo, and then you can pull the panel. It goes on an angle and locks down, so you have to pull it up and slide it out. This is the hook that locks on in there, so you have to be careful when removing that hook. Once that hook is out, this panel will sit on the side and we can start undoing the bolts to take the glove box out.
Start by undoing the 3 Torx 20 underneath the glove box.
So once your glove box is removed and is sitting on the side, now is the time to do our plug and play from the module. We're going to mount our Wi-Fi antenna, we're going to tap into the cord lock and into the display LVDS. Now this here is the LVDS cable that comes in the kit. So female side of the plug will go into your original gray plug, which is the factory LVDS. The white one is going to route to your module, so you can kind of feed it behind and down there. And the other end is going to go into your factory radio. And now for the next part is the cord lock connection here. So what you have to do is, it's not a push down tab, it's a pull up tab. So I'm going to use a pick tool, pull up the thing from my fiber optics and pull it out. Also you have to take a note that the orange wire is up top and the blue one at the bottom. You have to make sure 100% is going to go back in the same way. So keep it on, and now it has been transferred. You'll hear a nice click. That means the fiber optics is sitting nicely. You can undo this, connect your factory cord lock into your harness cord lock, Now when you're feeding the wiring through, there's a lot of space up here that you can feed the wire through. You do not want to go from there. If you do go from there, you're going to have a hard time putting your factory radio back in. It's a small little gap at the back where the radio sits. You have to feed all of your wiring through there, so when you're actually pushing the radio back into its place, it has its space to sit nicely and none of the wires are getting crushed. Now that all the plug and play has been done, I have mounted my module right behind the carpet. There's a big cavity at the end with some nice double-sided so it does not rattle. And after that, the carpet can sit flush just the way it did before. Now it's time to start plugging everything back into the factory radio and we can start testing for CarPlay.
Everything will go back in the same order as it came out. You have to be sure of putting the quad lock in a nice position because there's not a lot of room back there.
We're just doing some testing now. The radio has been plugged back in with the connections, but it's not put back in flush. Just wanted to make sure that the whole system is working. Try to go into CarPlay. There it is. That's your CarPlay screen. Now we can go ahead and put the factory radio back into spot, mount the USB into the glove box, and then the glove box can go back where it came from, put all the panels back, and then set up the CarPlay. So as you can see, that is wireless CarPlay installed and working. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put everything back together to how it was before. And you can see the sound is working. We just made a test call. The test call is working. And you can see there's another special feature with our modules is you can still see what's playing. Your media still comes up on your instrument cluster and you can still control it using your steering wheel controls. So I can go back within the tracks using my steering wheel control. Now once I'm done putting all of this back together, I'll show you guys how we set up the system, and that is the best way to do it. The sun has decided to shine its absolute most. That is the CarPlay done, guys. You can see everything is working just the way it should. Going into reverse, that's your factory reverse camera down there. Now in terms of audio, the way we set it up is in the settings for CarPlay. If you go to the very end, there's an option in the factory settings of CarPlay, systems, factory mode, phone link settings. Now, if your car has original Bluetooth to pair your device to stream music and calls, you want to make sure you have the disabled phone link audio enabled. What that does is it makes our CarPlay system only displays. That means you can use your factory Bluetooth for your mics, call, radio, everything, as well as your steering wheel control. That is the best way I think you can set it up. It also gives you the added benefit of being able to see the song in the instrument cluster. That is the most integrated thing I can see from anything that's aftermarket. You can press and hold this C button to switch between your CarPlay and your factory Mercedes system. So that is a sat nav that came from Mercedes. You press and hold back into CarPlay. Guys, if you want something like this to do a DIY with instructions, go on to www.westernautocustoms.com.au, or if you want me to install one of these for your car and you live local to Melbourne, send me an email on info@westernautocustoms.com.au to see how I can help you with your car and CarPlay integration. Peace.